There's a story most creatives tell themselves, and it sounds a little something like this. The moment I start building a real business, I'm going to lose what makes me creative. I'm going to become one of those people. One of those people that used to make things that mattered and now just post about their daily routines and sit there optimizing and worrying about their fucking funnels. And let me tell you, that story may feel true to you, but it's actually costing you more growth than you know. Today, I want to show you exactly where that story may have came from and why it's not the whole picture, and how to make the identity shift that lets you build something real without losing who you actually are as a creative. By the end of this video, you're going to have a completely different relationship with the word founder. I'm Chris Lean. I'm a brand architect and I'm the founder of Magnetic Movement. I've spent over 10 years building brands for creatives, working directly with founders and 8-figure operators across the world, working with different companies in different parts of the globe. I built a 6-figure agency. I've been able to learn magnetic marketing with brands like Hydro Flask, and I've built while I was traveling around the world from hostels and cafes, and it got to experience 37 countries. The pattern that I keep seeing across all of this is never that creatives lack talent, and that equals they can't build a business. It's actually the ones that are building something real without losing themselves. They made a decision very early on and they stuck with that decision. That was that their identity came first. Everything else gets built around that. So this is part 2 of a 6-part series called From Creative to Founder in the AI Era. If you haven't watched episode 1, go back and check it out. It's gonna set the foundation for everything that we'll cover today. And if this is already landing for you, DM me 33 on Instagram. I'm opening the Hybrid Creative Sprint in May. 7 spots, work one-on-one with me over 3 weeks. Let's talk about where this story actually comes from. So every creative I've ever worked with and collaborated with, they have some version of this running in the background. I used to have a version of this running in the background as well. There's this thought that a business corrupts creativity, that systems kill your flow, and that selling out is just a matter of time if you focus on running a business. It's always gonna trace back to the same place. Someone out there that you watched, that you admired, built something, but then lost themselves in the process of trying to monetize that thing. They chased the revenue, they tried to create for the algorithm, and somewhere along the way that work stopped meaning anything to them and they lost their cult following. And you may look at that specific person in that example, and you could have made a quiet, very quiet decision, consciously or subconsciously, that hey, that's just not gonna be me. I wanna protect my creativity, I wanna protect my craft. Now that decision, it feels like integrity. I've made that decision in the past. But here's what I want you to see and what we're gonna unlock today. That story is based on one version of what building a business actually looks like. That's only one path and one example. And until you separate that path from all the other possible paths that you personally can go as a creative, you're gonna keep using someone else's story as a reason for why you're not growing, why you're not building your own thing. And that story that they have isn't wrong, and it's not like it's untrue or unvalid, but we're gonna talk about the word founder today because I think that this is something that we need to unpack. This word founder is not a threat. When most creatives hear that word, they picture something extremely specific. They picture daunting spreadsheets, they picture metrics, they picture someone who optimizes everything and has become numb to creatives or any sort of feeling. Someone who makes hard decisions and just makes content about things that aren't relatable, things that aren't true. Now, let me tell you, really what a founder just is it's someone who's building something from a foundation, from their own vision. That's it. And if you're a creative, you've actually been doing this the whole time. So in a way, you've always been a founder. You just haven't been able to label it, and you didn't want to have that label. And we don't need to have that label. All you need to know is that if you start with the vision and you execute it out in reality, you're putting it out into the world. So the only difference between that and creating a strategic plan for how you're gonna let your creativity fuel your business is exactly that. You're gonna have a structure that's gonna help you grow. So there's no threat around titles or labels. It's just that you wanna look at founder in a different way and see it as a different version for creative specifically, because founders who aren't creative operate in a completely different linear way versus being more flow state as a creative. And that's the reframe that I want you to carry throughout this entire video. A lot of people may not want to hear this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. So creativity without structure, it's just a fucking hobby. Creativity with any sort of structure becomes more of a business. And one isn't more pure or more true than the other. But if you want your creativity to support your life, if you want to have extreme freedom doing something that you're passionate about, and you want to be able to work on your own terms wherever you want, whenever you want, you're going to have some sort of structure, my friend. Not somebody else's structure that's very linear, that's built for more logical thinkers. You need to have a structure that works for you. It's gonna be built around how you actually think and move as a creative. That's what the hybrid creative is. It's someone who has figured out how to hold space for a business, a brand, while also staying true to their creative selves. The business just becomes an extension of the work, and it's not separate from it. Creativity is the root, the business can grow from the root. That allows the brand to just be an expression of your creative identity. And I think that's pretty cool. Now, everything that you put out into the world comes from the same exact source. You're authentic, artistic, weird, badass, creative, powerful, compassionate. So the creatives who built the way that we're talking about, the way that a hybrid creative is meant to build, they didn't just like stumble into it one day and be like, I'll just give this a shot. They just made one clear decision. They decided that their identity was top. Their identity would come first before anything else. And then the offer, the creative content, the business model got built around that foundation, around their creative identity. So that's the path that we build here. That's the path that I'll be building in the hybrid creative sprint with other creatives, and it's the path that has worked for me. Let me make this concrete for a second because I don't want this to stay abstract. A hybrid creative is someone whose personal point of view, their ability to stay creative, and their vision becomes the product. The brand just becomes an extension of how they see and interact in the world. The way that they get to communicate, the way they create, and the way they show up. Now, all of it is going to come from the same source. So there's no separation between who you are and what you're building. When you have seen other creators, other creatives, other founders out there that operate in this way, you've probably realized it immediately. There's a sort of energy and a coherence to everything they do. Their content and their offer and all of the visuals, they actually like cohesively point and are dialed in to go in the same direction. That's how you make a brand and a business magnetic. And it only happens when identity is the foundation. Before I close this out, I want to give you something, permission. Because in my experience, most creatives are not stuck or holding themselves back, waiting for a better strategy or the right moment or more money in their bank account. The reason that they're sitting there, the reason that they're sitting on the fence, stuck waiting, is because someone else never told them that it's okay. It's okay to want to be creative and to want to monetize your creativity. It's okay to let your craft and your income symbiotically grow together. The creative life and the business that supports it, it's okay to let those evolve and be in your life and present at the same time. And it is okay to call yourself a founder without feeling like you've betrayed the creativity. So here it is, my friend. You are allowed to evolve. You're allowed to build. You're allowed to want more than what your creativity has given you so far. And you can do all of that without losing who you are. Stay true to yourself, stay in that magnetic state, because identity doesn't break when you start to build. It is actually going to evolve and your creativity becomes the engine. So the version of you on the other side of this shift isn't someone who gave up the art or gave up the purity. It's someone who finally gave it somewhere real to live. That's the hybrid creative. And that's what the next 4 videos are going to show you how to become. So if this hit or resonated for you, just DM me 33 on Instagram. I'm gonna open the doors up in May. There'll be 7 spots. You'll be able to build and work with me one-on-one over 21 days. Part 3 in the next video, we're gonna talk about AI, not because of the hype around it and not because of the fear, but we wanna look at how it's been the single biggest shift happening in the creative space right now and what it actually means for where you're headed as a creative. So subscribe and I'll see you there.